Do you ever have those moments where you know what you should be doing, but somehow you always just end up doing the exact opposite? You tell yourself things like, okay, starting tomorrow, I'm gonna get up early, I'm gonna go to the gym, this is when I'm gonna finally start being disciplined. And then tomorrow comes and nothing really happens. Because your brain is naturally wired to crave instant dopamine, and now we live in an environment that surrounds us with exactly that. But here's the good news, because even in a world designed to distract you, you can still build discipline. Because learning how to rely on discipline instead of motivation is exactly how I beat a shopping addiction that was keeping me broke. It's how I paid off over $85,000 of debt in 2.5 years. It's how I even built this successful YouTube channel that gets hundreds of thousands of views every single week while juggling a full-time job in healthcare. So if you're truly ready to enter your discipline era, then let's start with the one thing that most people don't even realize that they're doing. And that is negotiating with yourself. Ooh, need more coffee. And you know exactly the one I'm talking about. It's the one that'll say like, okay, we're gonna start Monday, or just 5 more minutes, we can just snooze, it's gonna be no big deal. But if you're really serious about entering your discipline era, then you do need to stop talking back to this voice in your head. In my experience, that little voice is the one that always wants to choose comfort over the goal that you're actually trying to work towards and build systems around. And that is not your fault, because our brains are wired that way. Because the future benefits that you're trying to work towards, whether it be getting up early and going to the gym, working on your business before you go to your 9 to 5, or even just wanting to do things like getting up earlier so you can have a slow morning and not feel like you're rushing all the time, those future rewards often feel so distant to your brain that it's always going to try to choose comfort in real time. And I truly find that the more I negotiate with myself in my own head, the more I tend to procrastinate. This is gonna get loud, one sec. I wish you could smell this right now. Which I find can be an absolute killer to your confidence, and you're just always going to feel like, oh, well, I'm lazy, or I can't do the thing, or I just don't have discipline. So what's the solution? You stop talking to yourself. I honestly feel like that self-negotiation thing is just more about fear than anything else. But the more you show up and prove that you can do the thing, your brain is going to learn that this is just what we do. And that voice in your head that's always choosing comfort is gonna get quieter and quieter. Sometimes you just gotta tell yourself to shut the fuck up in like the most loving way possible. But you know what, I'm gonna be so for real here. The whole removal of self-negotiation thing only works if you know exactly what it is you're working towards. Because a lot of people say that they want discipline or that they should be more disciplined, but then the goal is really vague. Like, I wanna get fit. I want to eat healthy. I want to save money. Those are fine, but they're a little too non-specific, so you don't really know what you're doing. Instead, if you want to build the discipline and consistency to reach your goals or build new habits, then you need to set specific targets. Like, think about it. You would never book a vacation not knowing exactly where you're going or where you're going to be staying. And if you did, you're much more adventurous than me, but I like to have a plan. So this is where you can use something called SMART goals.
S-M-R-T, I mean S-M-A-R-T.
Where they need to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So instead of saying something that feels really non-specific and vague and almost something like you should be wanting instead of what you truly want, change I want to get fit to I'm going to show up at the gym no matter what on Mondays and Fridays. Or if you want to make it even better, you're going to say, for the next 3 months, I'm going to show up at the gym every Monday and Friday, and I'm going to work out for a minimum of 30 minutes. Mondays, I'll do strength training, and Fridays, I'll focus on cardio and mobility. And right away, you know how much better and more clear that sounds. You have a plan, you have something that you can execute on, you know where you have to be and when, and exactly for how long. The more specific your goal is, the more you're going to dramatically increase on your follow through, because you know what you're doing. And you know what, even better if you write it down, and that's where I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Paperlike. I've always wanted to be an iPad person, but I will also really never let go of my millennial desire to be an analog girly, but Paperlike lets me do both. I've actually been using their screen protector on my iPads for the last 3 or 4 years because I love that smooth analog feeling it gets, so it actually does feel like you're writing on paper. So if you're on your iPad all the time using your pencil, or if you are an artist or a creative and you like doing things like drawing on apps like Procreate or Photoshop on your iPad, then you will love the analog and realistic feel of Paperlike 3. I just applied a fresh attach one to my iPad and it was so easy. Truly, I find there is nothing in this world that is more tedious and annoying than applying screen protectors to things without scratching your screen or without getting air bubbles. And Paperlike's butterfly application makes it so easy. This literally took me like under 5 minutes to do, and they even give you a video and instructions on how to do it. You don't have to worry about things like dust, scratching, or air bubbles. It's engineered in Germany, made in Switzerland, and if you do screw up the application process, don't worry about it because they always send you an extra just in case. Perfect. So thank you so much to Paperlike for sponsoring this portion of the video. If you want to go check them out, I will leave everything linked down below in the description and in the pinned comments. So my goal today is at 4 p.m. I will run for 40 minutes at zone 2. I know what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, and you know what? I even know why I'm doing it. I'm training for a 10K race. I gotta build up my engine. So let's go get ready to go on that run. But even when your goal is crystal clear and you know exactly what to do, there's still one thing that could potentially sabotage you. I would say that most people feel like they don't know why they feel like they're failing in their goals, but I would say if you searched deep down and got really honest with yourself, you actually kind of do. But you might just not want to admit it. And that's because lying to ourselves is comfortable. It protects our ego. So admitting to the real reason why you feel like you're not making progress, that kind of hurts. Like when I was a full-blown shopaholic, if there was a way where I didn't have to take any responsibility for my own financial situation, I would find it. The truth was, even though, yeah, I had a ton of student loan debt, I was also spending every single penny of disposable income I ever made. I wasn't doing anything to learn about money, to pay off my debt. In fact, I was doing every possible thing I could to avoid that. And it wasn't until I admitted that I was also part of the problem that I could actually start taking action on reaching my goal of becoming debt-free. And taking responsibility for that and owning that part of the problem, it sucked. It was really uncomfortable. It was embarrassing, but it was everything I needed to push me forward to actually start making progress toward that goal. So if you find yourself feeling this way about any goal you have, like you're not making progress or you are always just feeling like you failed and you don't really want to face some real hard truths here, I think it's important to start asking a couple of key questions. Number one being, why do I actually want this goal? What's the real reason that's like deep down in your core that you can almost feel? And then ask, why have I failed before? And don't give like the polite corporate answer. Get raw and get real here. Because at the end of the day, if you refuse to acknowledge the role you can play in your own results, then I don't think you're ever really going to make progress. And I think you can do this with radical honesty while acknowledging your limitations. Like if you suffer with things like ADHD, if you have a lot of responsibilities, like we all don't really have the same 24 hours in a day. But if you have a goal you want to reach and you do find yourself struggling with discipline, then having a moment of radical honesty with yourself, I think it is really going to be the thing that helps you move the needle forward to finally making progress. And I think it'll even help you want to become disciplined. Like it doesn't really have to be a punishment. At the end of the day, it's a tool. And I think you can use it to your advantage. Okay, but here's the thing. You can have the most specific goal ever. You can also be the most honest with yourself. You could also stop the negotiation in your mind like a pro. But if your surroundings are a disaster, then you are really going to struggle. Because one of the main things that impacts your habits and whether or not we are successful or going to keep falling back into old patterns is your environment. Think about it. If your closet is a mess, then it's going to be really hard to get dressed every day. If your workplace is full of distractions, if your phone's right beside you, then it's going to really be difficult to get into a flow state and focus. Your brain is basically begging you for a little structure because designing your environment will just set you up for success. So something as small as planning your outfit the night before, laying out your gym clothes the night before, it's all going to help making doing the thing effortless. So honestly, the more structure you can build around something, the better. And the one thing about developing discipline is that it doesn't just change your habits, it changes something deeper, and it's that it raises your standards. Because one of the hard truths I had to come to terms with when I wanted to start building discipline and changing my life was that my standards were too low. But the hard part about it is that you're probably not going to start developing that real self-respect that you want and those standards until you start consistently showing up. I look like an egg right now, but I need to keep warm, so.
You'd better run, egg!
So if you're trying to do things like paying off debt, show up at the gym consistently, build your business, whatever it is, if you don't feel like you truly deserve the success that you gain from showing up, then it's going to be really hard to even try. But you have to kind of get over that. And I find the best way to actually do that is to just start small. If you're trying to build the habit of saving and investing, you don't have to save thousands of dollars a month. That's too big. Start with $50 a week, $20 a week, like whatever you can actually handle and what you can show up to do consistently. That's what's really gonna start building the confidence over time. Like I started running last year in my late 30s, and before that, I had probably not run for more than 2 minutes straight since I was in high school. And I sucked, I was embarrassed, I turned so red every single time, still do by the way. But you know, by the end of the year, I had run my very first 10K race and I ran a full half marathon when I started from basically zero. It's really all about showing up enough to set a new baseline. And that new baseline is gonna be you in a more confident and self-trusting place. It's actually pretty cool. Okay, here's the fit. And like the cool thing about this is I don't want to go running. The last thing I want to do is go outside. The wind is absolutely screaming out there. It is cold, but I'm going to go because this is the next thing that's really going to help you build discipline. And that's having the ability to predict your future state. Because if you really think about it, who you are today is a lagging measure of the choices you made in the past. Your current bank account is a measure of your previous spending. Your current personal style is a measure of your past purchases. And things like your current level of strength or performance is a lagging measure of your past efforts. So I'm using the power of prediction in two ways here. One is I know I am going to be absolutely pissed at myself if I bail, and I know I'm going to feel amazing and so proud of myself if I show up. So, let's go. Oh my God. Count on me to choose the f***ing wind tunnel. Okay, but the final question to ask here is, what would it look like if this were fun? Because I think discipline has a bit of a PR problem where everyone thinks you need to be suffering in order to make progress. And I don't think that's true. I'm having fun right now. I know it doesn't look like it, but I am. Okay, so how am I making this fun? Number one, I put on a cute outfit. Anytime I can get dressed in something that makes me feel cute, I'm having fun. Number two, I'm listening to my favorite playlist. If you're curious, I've been listening to the same playlist for the past year, and it is the Oasis concert set list. And it gets me so friggin' hyped up and jacked and motivated, and I look forward to it, and it's fun. And you can do the same, because if you're trying to build up to something, I really don't think there's any point in making it harder on yourself by hating everything that you're doing at the entire time. Doing something hard is very rewarding, but you can also make it fun to incentivize doing that hard thing. So let me know in the comments some ways that you make your hard thing fun. Yay, downhill. I was supposed to be in zone 2 this entire time, but running and talking is very, very difficult. So now I'm actually just gonna go and finish my run. The other thing too is I'm already feeling good. Getting outside and being out in the cold for the first like 5 minutes is really tough, but once you get into it, you're already here. All right, back to Oasis. And there are many places that I wish to go. So if you're ready to enter your discipline era, this is exactly how you're going to do it. Let me know down in the comments some ways that you have cultivated discipline in your own life, and let me know how you make it fun so you keep showing up. Thanks again to Paperlike for sponsoring this video. And if you want to know even more boring habits that are really going to help move the needle in your life with your money, watch this video next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Ooh, now we get to eat. Yes, my favorite part of the workout. Post-workout snacks.